Good morning. Another beautiful Sunday. Beautiful just because it's Sunday and I love Sundays. I love Sunday mornings. I had an interesting day yesterday. uh, the laundry run is a different story for another time. Um, but I always find it so fascinating how one of the things I do at the very end of my day, right before I go to sleep, is I journal and then I list one story-worthy moment from the day. And I can't take credit for this idea. I got it from a guy on Twitter. I've been doing it for the since April. So whatever that is, do the math. And it's always interesting to see, like, at what point of my day do I pick that moment? And there are many days when that moment comes from the very end of the day. And I always just find that idea fascinating. I was eating dinner last night and it was like 7 p.m., 7:15, and this French guy that I had chatted with before, he left the hostel and went to get a villa for like a week, but he's been like stopping by every once in a while. He came by last night and he was kind of looking around, and then we made eye contact. And let me show you this. Watch your step. And we made eye contact. I waved at him. He came over and we started chatting. And where do you even start? He told me this long story of this girl that he had wouldn't say relationship, but like relationship with here, and but it didn't work out, and so that was a long like arc of how he got there, and that was really interesting. And then we chatted about relationships generally. We chatted about life, business, and I find it so interesting to just like hear his perspective on life. Like, it's kind of funny. He said in his story about this girl that this one time they went to get coffee, he specifically noticed that he spoke like 5% of the time. She spoke like 95% of the time. And he said because like he can't learn anything from someone by speaking, which is really a very interesting and wise idea. But it's funny because last night and most of our conversations, he does most of the talking. And so like the roles are reversed. But I just find it so interesting. I ask him these questions and yeah. Hmm. I'm trying to think where I want to go with this. I'll talk about this. I'm avoiding the elephant in the room. Um, I really like our relationship together, and I love like learning from his perspective. But it's interesting, like, because we talked about relationships and like social connections,
Yeah.
and he was like, "Yeah, I only have two types of relationships, really, like like business networking kind of relationship, and then like someone I can talk, say anything to, basically." And the past couple of days, I've really thought like I like where this guy is going, and I want to be around him, but I don't know how to provide value to him. And because like he's so confident
Walk a
and
little bit.
convicted in his like mindset, and he's always learning. He's not like stubborn, but like he's telling me he was working on the past couple days, he's working on his business plan for 2024, like laying out his objectives, like his goals for all of 2024, as well as like his travel plans for all of 2024. And I'm just like, I don't know how you can think that far in advance. Um, but yeah, like I feel like I feel like I can provide the most value to other people. Not like, again, this comes back to like, what exactly do I provide? It's not like an objective skill. I think it's more about the conversation that we have. And I was writing about this last night. There were some questions that I asked him that he said out loud. He was like, that's a really good question. And like, I love those moments. I live for those moments. And I live for those reactions. Which maybe that's not a good idea, but um, one of them, I asked him, I was like, I'm so curious, like, what do you struggle with the most? Like, what are your biggest challenges? And he was like, that's a really good question. And he thought through it, he gave me three, and he thought it was so good that he wrote it down in his Notion workspace, which is a big deal. Um, and at the end, he was like, great conversation as always. And I think for me, it's more like I can't help him with his business. I can't help him with SEO or entrepreneurship because he's further ahead in the game than I am. But I think it's the conversation itself where I feel like I'm most helpful. Because we talked about, yeah, these two things. One was in the relationship conversation. He talked about, obviously, he has a checklist of all of the like criteria that he wants met in a woman. And he was talking about this this girl that he met here, she checked all of the boxes. And this is the first time anyone has ever done that. But over the course of a couple days, there were things that he realized he like didn't have down that were big red flags. And it ended up not working out. And he's talking about how he updated his he added some things to his checklist. And I asked him, if you rewind back to the start, given what you know now with your checklist, at what point in your story would you have looked at the checklist, been like, this one, and recognized and seen that it's not going to work out? And he got tripped up by that for a second. But again, he said like, that's a really good question. Because I was like, what is the value if you have edited your checklist and you go back to the beginning and you aren't able to see what you saw at the end earlier, then what is the value of that? And I think it was that conversation and the conversation about struggles where realizing that like he hadn't thought about that before, or maybe he had, but like not in the last month or whatever. It's something like that. I'm having a hard time stringing these thoughts together. I don't think it's a lack of sleep. I got a 90% sleep last night. I think I just didn't have a clear thread here, because there was so much that went on last night. There are so many different things. And at the end of our conversation, I was like, fuck, man. Like, you got me thinking. Like, there's so many things to think about. And yeah, I don't know. I think what I wanted to say was, we had a great conversation. I think I'm building up the evidence that all of these micro moments when I talk with someone and they stop and I ask a question, they stop and they think and they go, that's a really good question. I'm starting to build up like this, maybe it's not a pile yet, but this list of evidence of that happening. And I think that's like, it's a thing. It's becoming a pattern. And I'm just trying to figure out how to use that information. And then I wanted to say that, like, I wanna be around this guy. Like, I like his mindset and I wanna learn from him. But I feel like I'm not further ahead of him in the traditional sense. And so I'm not sure how. Here's good. When he sent me a message after, when he left, and he was like, it's great to meet you. He said some other things. If there's anything I can do to help you with making money online, e-commerce, marketing agency, or like SEO, let me know. Going back to that like business partnership kind of relationship. And I was like, I appreciate that. And I said back, like, if there's anything I can do to help you. And then I was like, how could I help him, you know? And basically I said coding, software engineering, or even just having a conversation is like that's my offer to you. And I think what I'm trying to get at is like, I want to be known for the conversations that we have, that as the skill. Like, I want you to come to me to be like, I want to work through something. Like, I'm at a crossroads, like, and I want to come to you to work through this. And I think I'm getting there with this evidence of like, oh, that's a really good question. But I don't know how to get it to actually providing that value. I hope that makes sense. I think I'm going to end the video here before I keep rambling. This was not as clear as I wanted it to be. But that's okay. I have some thinking to do. The point of these videos is not that I have a clear idea and I'm sharing that with you. I think it's that I'm documenting the process of coming to the clear idea. And I hope that's valuable for you. I'll see you tomorrow. I'm gonna go write a life update post. Bye.